I want to begin by stating something plainly, because ambiguity would undermine everything that follows. I do not believe in God because science failed. I believe in God because science succeeded more profoundly than we ever expected. I am a theoretical physicist. My work has involved space-time topology, negative energy constraints, vacuum stability, and the conservation of information under extreme curvature. I am not a philosopher by training, nor a theologian by habit. I am someone who was taught, correctly, that the universe does not owe us comfort, meaning, or narrative coherence. It owes us consistency. And for most of my career, that was enough. When I was a graduate student, I believed that the deepest human hopes, love, purpose, transcendence, were evolutionary artifacts. Useful, perhaps, but ultimately illusory. Neural shortcuts shaped by survival pressures, to be understood, catalogued, and eventually outgrown as humanity matured into a truly spacefaring species. I was not hostile to faith. I simply regarded it as pre-scientific. A scaffold humanity would eventually dismantle once the structure of reality was fully exposed. Then we encountered the dark mirrors. Dark mirrors forced us to confront a reality that is mathematically strict and morally indifferent, yet deeply structured. They are not metaphors. They are folded space-time constructs stabilized by 𝒆𝒂𝒏𝒊𝒏𝒈 274, obeying conservation laws so severe that a single miscalculation can erase matter, energy, and information without spectacle. They do not behave like magic. They behave like physics with consequences. They taught us something unsettling. The universe allows extraordinary access, but only under narrow conditions. Not because it is kind. Not because it is cruel, but because it is constrained. And constraint, to a physicist, is where truth hides. Most dark mirrors appear metallic silver, reflective, inert until activated, indifferent to the user's intent. They open pathways within our universe, not across time, not into fantasy, but along geodesics permitted by space-time folding. Then there was the ruby red mirror. It fit in the palm of my hand. It weighed almost nothing. And yet, every instrument I trusted insisted it possessed mass. It simply refused to express it conventionally. I held it for hours. I rotated it between my fingers. I stared into its surface, not because I expected revelation, but because my intuition insisted something about it was fundamentally different. This mirror was not anchored solely to our universe. Its 𝒆𝒂𝒏𝒊𝒏𝒈 lattice was tuned, mined and refined in a way we still cannot fully replicate, to interface with a multiversal topology that includes Paradiso and countless other worlds like it. This is not mysticism. This is boundary physics. And boundaries matter. I was invited to Paradiso by Rhys Oren, a retired Catholic priest whose reputation many of you know. When I spoke with his wife, Sarah Oren, she gently corrected me when I called him father. She said, "He's just Rhys now. And if you come, you'll meet 𝒆𝒂𝒏𝒆𝒅. 𝒆𝒂𝒏𝒆𝒅 is their golden retriever. That detail matters more than it sounds like it should. Because when Sarah spoke of 𝒆𝒂𝒏𝒆𝒅, she did not speak as though describing an evolved companion species or a biochemical feedback loop. She spoke as someone describing recognition, joy that was not optimized, affection that was not efficient, love that served no reproductive or strategic advantage. As a scientist, I had always been told that such things are illusions we project onto complexity. But the dark mirrors had already taught me something inconvenient. The universe does not reward projection. It rewards alignment. Sarah told me about a scene from a film most of us know, Indiana Jones and the Last Crusade. Indiana stands before a ravine that appears empty. No bridge, no path, only death, according to every classical model available to him. And yet the test is not recklessness. It is epistemic humility. The bridge exists, but it cannot be perceived from the wrong frame of reference. Indiana closes his eyes and steps forward, not because he abandons reason, but because reason has exhausted what it can infer from local data alone. He accepts that his math may be incomplete, not wrong. Sarah told me that when she held the sacred dark mirror, the same moment arrived. The opening formed, and on the other side stood 𝒆𝒂𝒏𝒊𝒏𝒈, alive, waiting, unmistakably real. She stepped through, and she survived. Now let me tell you what happened when someone else tried. A dark mirror was stolen from the home of a Galaxy Alliance Prime Minister in Galaxy City. The individual who took it was not authorized, not invited, and not prepared. When the mirror opened, they crossed. There was no explosion, no scream, no debris. They simply ceased. As a physicist, that terrified me. Because erasure without radiation violates almost every intuitive expectation we have about catastrophic failure. It suggests not destruction, but exclusion, as though space-time itself refused to propagate their world line forward. That is not moral judgment. That is topology. And topology does not care what you believe. It cares whether you fit. Here is where my thinking changed. For decades, physicists have debated whether the universe is fundamentally random or deeply ordered. We argue about fine-tuning, anthropic selection, multiverses, and whether consciousness is emergent noise or an inevitable feature of complexity. What the dark mirrors revealed is something more subtle. The universe is permissive, but not permissive without structure. It allows extraordinary transitions, but only when certain conditions are met. Those conditions are not purely energetic. They are not purely informational. They appear to involve coherence of intent, of state, of readiness. And coherence is not something physics has a complete vocabulary for yet. We already accept this limitation in other domains. Quantum mechanics does not tell us what a wave function is, only how it evolves. General relativity does not tell us why space-time exists, only how it curves. We operate comfortably with incomplete ontologies as long as the mathematics holds. So why do we panic when the same incompleteness appears at the level of meaning? The idea that hope, love, and transcendence are merely evolutionary artifacts assumes something unproven, that reality has no preference for awareness. That consciousness is accidental. That the universe would be identical if it were never perceived. But nothing we have learned supports that assumption. Information matters. Observation matters. Initial conditions matter. And now, thresholds matter. Paradiso is not heaven in the cartoon sense. It is not reward, nor escape, nor denial of death. It is a realm where the universe admits that not all intelligible structure is reducible to equations we currently possess. That does not threaten physics. It dignifies it. Belief in God, as I now understand it, is not belief in a bearded overseer rearranging particles by whim. It is belief that the universe is intelligible because it is intentional, that the laws we study are not arbitrary but expressive. Not expressive in language, expressive in structure. The same way mathematics expresses truths we did not invent. The same way symmetry reveals beauty without asking permission. Holding science and God together is not cognitive dissonance. It is cognitive discipline. It requires resisting the temptation to declare that what we cannot yet formalize must therefore be illusory. Science advances precisely because we do not make that mistake. When I held the ruby red mirror in my hand, I did not feel faith replace reason. I felt reason widen. I realized that dismissing our deepest hopes as mere evolutionary residue is not scientific humility, it is metaphysical arrogance. It assumes we already know what consciousness is for. We do not. And until we do, dismissing God is no more rigorous than asserting Him. The difference is that belief, proper belief, does not demand certainty. It demands courage at the boundary. Physicists already live there. We step into unknown parameter spaces every time we write an equation we cannot yet test. We trust consistency before confirmation. We follow implications before instrumentation catches up. Belief in God is not a leap away from science. It is a leap consistent with it. A step forward when the bridge is real but not yet visible. Thank you.